Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back for another dose of Doctor Who Nightmare Fuel. And where do I start with this one? Midnight is my favourite episode of the new series by a long distance, and the thought of trying to put that into words is something that's daunted me for years. But now it's about time I finally talk about what makes it a masterpiece, and also what makes it one of the scariest experiences available in Doctor Who. This show is known for its monsters: Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, Zygons, a long and rich history full to the brim with creations. But one kind of monster Doctor Who hasn't really explored all that much is a psychological one that is never seen at all. All we do see is what it's capable of. Midnight is a planet in a system that's star is extonic, meaning that it produces deadly light that no living being is able to live inside. On Midnight, a company has decided to plonk a leisure palace, and that's due to Midnight being incredibly beautiful, with gleaming sapphires and diamonds scattering the landscape, a paradise that is never able to be touched by a living organism. The Doctor goes on a trip by himself to do some sightseeing, and while on the windowless shuttlecraft, makes friends with the passengers, a married couple with their son, a professor and his assistant, a lone traveller, and the hostess herself, as well as the driver and mechanic. The first act of Midnight is the Doctor getting pally-pally with everybody, establishing the group of characters and linking them for the episode ahead. The ship comes to an unexpected halt while on the trip, and the Doctor chats to the driver about the issue. The issue is that the engine needs to stabilise, which it doesn't, because it's a micro-petrol engine that doesn't need to stabilise. So something is going wrong, and it's pretty tough to establish what. But while lifting the shields in the cabin to check out some of Midnight's luscious scenery, the mechanic swears that he saw a shadowy figure in the distance making its way towards the craft. After the Doctor exits the cabin, the passengers on board begin to slip into hysteria, with Chinese whispers floating around regarding the engine and the amount of air left. This is the first example in this episode of a small group of people arguing amongst each other being a serious threat in itself. It only takes one passing comment to be blown out of proportion for an entire group to be infected with panic. Things take a huge turn for the worse though when something begins to knock on the shuttle from the outside. The outside where no living thing can live. The knocks continue 2 at a time, but then 3 knocks from the dad and 4 knocks from the Doctor are copied by it. Whatever is on the outside is conscious and able to respond. This concept is already nightmare fuel. One of the scariest kinds of threats is the one that you cannot see. Even at this stage, whatever is knocking simply cannot exist, and yet it does. The episode does a great job at getting over this point and makes the Midnight entity all the more mysterious and frightening. The group begin to argue again, trying to remain calm while also becoming increasingly scared. The knocking makes its way around the entire cabin towards the lone traveller, a woman named Sky. She screams out this chilling line: before rocking the shuttle left, right and centre, killing the lights in the process. After grabbing torches, Sky is now sitting in the corner of the room, surrounded by ripped up chairs, her face to the wall, and her head in her hands. This is a really nightmarish image. A second ago she was terrified but fine, and now all we see is a still, crouched body from behind. Sky finally turns around and scans the room with her eyes, before returning to the Doctor. The Doctor starts to talk, but Sky replies, copying everything that he says exactly. She also does this to the other people in the room. Any line spoken by any person is immediately repeated. This is another scary trait of the Midnight entity. It's such a simple idea, but copying another person's words is properly unsettling and has a childlike quality to it that only adds to the entity's arsenal. As the episode progresses, the group get continuously frightened by Sky's copying, but also by her eyes. The Doctor attempts to keep control and maintain a state of calm with everyone, but as time passes becomes unsuccessful. This is an element to the story that is as scary as the entity itself. On one end, you have this brand new creature that the Doctor wants to learn about, and we the audience know who the Doctor is and how brilliant he is. However, on the other end, the group of people in the cabin contextually don't know who the Doctor is. From their perspective, he's a stranger that they met only a few hours ago, scenario, has assumed control of the situation, is gleefully enthused about the scenario they're in, and doesn't react like a normal person. We know the history he's had in saving the day, but these people aren't aware of that, and this only adds to the hysteria, and progressively the group begins to question him. Who is he? What is his real name? Why is he gleeful about the scenario? They throw all kinds of accusations at him about why he's doing what he's doing, and then we get the most 10th Doctor line ever.
How did you know what to do? Because I'm clever!
This shuts the episode down. Not only does the line complement the 10th Doctor's sense of egoism that he experiences in the latter half of his tenure, but what Russell did here with this script is make the Doctor the enemy simply by being himself. There's something inherently dangerous about a group of scared people backed into a corner. They're capable of anything when provoked, and here they feel provoked by this statement, like they're idiots and that the Doctor is above them. Again, we know just how clever the Doctor is, but in the heat of the moment, he belittled the group unintentionally, and that ends up almost costing him his life when the idea is passed around that not only should they eject Skye from the shuttle, but the Doctor as well. Things go up to top gear when Skye leaves the group alone and only repeats the Doctor's words, but when the Doctor goes into one of his usual speeches about trying to help, Skye takes over him. Now it's the Doctor that repeats. He's been possessed by the entity, and now the group grab him and drag him towards the exit to eject him into the sun. This is one of the most vulnerable positions the Doctor's been in. His sonic screwdriver can't help him. He's stuck in the middle of nowhere with help an hour away. No companions there to back him up, and he's a stranger to everyone there. By taking command of the situation, he put a target on his back, and by flat out arguing along with the others during a tense set of events, he dropped his guard and made himself dislikable and untrustworthy. Now, an alien being that shouldn't exist yet does, is never seen and has unknown powers, has taken possession of him, and a group of people that want him dead are on the very edge of ending his life while he's trapped in a vegetative state. Thankfully, the hostess clocks on that it's Skye who's pulling the strings, and she jettisons Skye and herself. The link between the entity and the Doctor is broken, returning him to his normal state, and that's when the group show their true colours. A moment ago they were going to kill the Doctor, and now they're ashamed at what levels they were about to go to in order to survive. As a script, I think Midnight is the source of why I love bottle episodes so much. This episode is the budget one of the series, as nearly all the new series have, and by planting an ensemble cast in one room, not even having to design a monster for a costume, just have these people stuck facing an unknown impossible threat and incrementally go for each other's throats, was a stroke of genius. Every single actor in this thing puts in a shift, especially Tennant, and it's truly the most tense experience I've had in Doctor Who. The fear factor here comes from what you don't see rather than what you do, and honestly, that makes it linger so much more. The Midnight entity shouldn't ever be explained, otherwise you lose a once-in-a-lifetime bolt of lightning in a bottle, quite literally. What do you lot think of Midnight? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time, Ghoul Gang, for another Doctor Who dose of nightmare fuel.
Knock, knock. Who's there?